Sitting at a desk, that was mostly empty aside from some papers, a futuristic lamp, and a hexagonal shape at about the middle of it, was True, a 2.2 meters tall feline, biped male of 47 years old, and one of the current military generals of the contemporary Galactic Society, representing the Gatasiren, laid back on his hovering office chair so far that it looked like it would topple over at any second. He stared intently at the ceiling of his confined room, troubled and dumbfounded by the information he had been reading and digesting for the past 3 hours. He sighed as he moved himself closer to his desk, grabbing and holding the hexagonal figure in front of him. The cause of Troll's conundrum being the detailed information about the newest addition to the GS. Humanity, they called themselves. At first glance, said nothing to scoff at, being of below average height, at their species above average, having no armor or fur that would deter damage being done, their claws and fangs dull to the point of almost being inconsequential, and their senses are less developed than most other species, at least from what he recalls in the first surveys. You see, the GS does research on planets nearing their possible introduction to the galaxy, as a part of its society. However, it isn't such a thorough investigation. There's only general information, basic biology, nothing in depth, contemporary history, basic weaponry, state of government, nothing that would require extensive stay or more invasive methods of research, as the opportunity to share such information has been proven to facilitate accommodation into the GS, and greatly increasing said species' cooperation through the exchange of information. That being said, humanity might just be why this method changes back to the thorough and extensive way it used to be. Quickly tapping on his hexagonal device, he hurried to record and relay a holographic message for the other generals concerning his findings. As the display shot out of the device, he propped it back in the middle of his desk, backing up slightly to be in center frame. Now ready to record his message, he began. "This is General Troll of the Gatasiren, recording this message at..." He paused, rubbing his face in an attempt to keep his composure. Frankly, it didn't help much. "To the void with formalities. I need to get my thoughts out before my mind goes off like a supernova. As I'm sure most of you didn't bother to look at the information they gave us about humans, yet I'll give you a rundown of what will probably concern us most. As you may know, humanity is who joined us recently into the Galactic Society." Finishing his disbelief and somewhat quiet anger-infused introduction, he forced himself to relax. Slumping into his hover chair, his tense body felt relieved, but not for long as he sat back up, straight, and leaned forward with an intense and stern look on his face. "You all know the conflicts with the rejected species conglomerate has been turning in their favor ever since they managed to find a way to incorporate our electronics along with theirs for more than 2 days. We all know what their most abundant soldier species, recently dubbed Terminators, can do." Troll closed his eyes, thinking back on the reports of the first battles. How barely any soldier was able to recount the events that went down, the decimation of some of their best soldiers, and the gruesome images of the aftermath brought back as evidence. Troll would have to remind everyone he was sending this to, so that they understand how valuable humanity could be to turn this around. "These Terminators are ludicrous with how well equipped they are for unassisted combat. Claws sharp enough to puncture the Quel'Thuz's tough hide, strong enough to overpower Fruitsar's strength. There are alarmingly effective bacteria in their saliva that corrodes Aramari metal-like exoskeletons, and smart enough to know they have these advantages, and use them when our weapons and armors are nullified." Troll's serious expression turned to one of almost insane joy, as he started to laugh almost uncontrollably under his breath before controlling himself, and showing a face that could only exude confidence. "Evolution took a bath of monotony and chose biped nature, something 95% of sentient species shared. Along with allowing technological advances to explode in all our planets of origin, skipping almost entirely unassisted combat, humanity had no such luxury." Quickly searching through the images he pulled from the files he had been sent, and displaying them in his holo-recording, 4 pictures appeared, one in each corner. On the left, a man uppercutting another man in a boxing ring. Under it, a man kicking a boxing bag, bending it like a bow's curve. To the right, a man throwing somebody else over his shoulder in the style of judo. Below it, a woman subduing another woman in a headlock inside the octagon. Humanity had no such luxury, and as such, instead of going extinct, they were granted knowledge across centuries of unassisted combat, martial arts as they call it, all in the search of how to beat, subdue, or break their opponents in the most effective way possible. It is true that most species average a higher height than them, and some even greater strength, but they thought of that. Their techniques allow someone half my size and weaker than me to break me and leave me out of commission for 2 months at least. It's so ingrained into them that most of their styles of unassisted combat have become sports in their media. They would only need slight adjustments to accommodate and become effective for other species. Troll caught himself panting, feeling as though he had jogged a lap around his space station. Content with said feeling, he allowed his expression to return to an almost neutral expression, only allowing a slight smile and a glint of fire in his eye to show. There will be a revolution in hand-to-hand combat that humans will bring. The faster we incorporate them into our ranks and employ their teachings with our platoons, the faster we can have this rebellion under control. With a slight expression and satisfied mind, Troll only had one last thing to say. You better start reading. In our next meeting we were instructed to have a few suggestions in what style of combat we should use, lest the humans have more effective styles we overlooked. General Troll signing out. May the void eat our enemies and protect us in darkness. Faster than he could perceive, Troll found himself laid, sprawled out in his bed, his mind struggling to stay in the present, knowing the possibilities the near future brought. A fire deep within him having been set ablaze, he felt so much sudden vigour, he almost felt like he was 20 years younger.